Whoa. What is up, my people? What's up, everybody? I hope today is amazing for you all, as always. I am your host, Honorable OCT, OctaviusHaye, and this is the WACCast podcast. So with that being said, let's talk whack to 'em. Drake dropped, one of the biggest artists in the entire world. He dropped his new album, For All the Dogs. And it's been a lot to talk about this week, so we're going to break it down layer by layer. First of all, we're going to talk about an overall review of the album. Now, I have not gone through the entire album because, like most Drake albums, it's way too long. But for the songs that I have heard, there has been, to me personally, it seems like a lack of interest in making an album. I have not heard anything, even production-wise, that got me like, whoo, from Drake. I mean, there's been songs where I'm like, yeah, that could have been something. That could have been something amazing. Wow. And it just dryness. Drake really likes to whisper on tracks. He really likes to breathe hard, and then do his little whisper. But Jesus, like, that's fine for a couple songs, but we want some substance. I had to go back and listen to some old Drake projects. I was listening to Views. I was listening to More Life. I was listening to If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. And there's dry Drake on there throughout throughout all those projects, but the beats are what really gets you in that emotion. And these beats, they just didn't amp up to me. Again, I haven't heard the whole album. I've heard a nice amount of the album though. But when I'm listening to these old Drake songs, those beats, they change, they get more emotional. You feel the whatever emotion you're supposed to feel from that song is in that beat. A lot of times before Drake even says a word. And then he comes in with the word, so you got it, that beat. And I'm just listening like, golly, Drake, maybe you do need to get away from Yachty. Where's 40? I need 40. I need 40 right now. I don't know. I know 40 has health issues, so maybe he can't do what he used to do, so Drake has to go to other people. But golly, there's got to be somebody else that can mimic him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't mentor nobody. Yeah, like I said, I got much love for Drake. And I think, to me, Drake is probably my number 3 of all time. My number 2 of all time with music, as far as just the ability to make songs. Drake is probably my number 3 of all time lyrically. And I'm listening to this he's got a song with J. Cole, and J. Cole just goes spazzing out. Just goes crazy, lyric bar for bar, and you thinking, okay, now Drake got to come with them bars, because we know Drake got bars. If you're a real Drake fan, you know Drake got bars. And he started breathing heavy and whispering on the song. I'm like, come on, dude, stop. Really? Right now? This is not the time for that. This is time for you to go ahead and spaz on that mic. But it is what it is, man. Am I disappointed with it? I'm very disappointed with the album. And honestly, I had to reflect. I have not been satisfied with a Drake project since More Life. More Life was the last time that I actually that I really enjoyed a Drake album from beginning to end. Scorpion was okay. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. It was okay, but More Life was the last time I really had a good time with a Drake album. I'm like, I want to hear these songs again. I want to hear him sing these songs live. And I haven't heard that in a while. So he said he's going to take a break because health issues. And maybe he needs to take a break just to get back in tune with himself and get that mojo back. And as a Drake fan, I'm disappointed. Again, I want to preface, I have not heard the entire album, but from what I have heard, I'm disappointed. And I actually cut off the album to go listen to some old Drake so I can have some fun, because I was really bored. I was bored from this album so far. Anyway, but yeah, that's my take. What do you think? I know a lot of people got a lot of different opinions. So if you like the album, that's great. If you hate the album, that's what it is. Nobody should be forced to feel any way. Feel what you feel about the project. It's an album. You can have an opinion. That's all good. So tell me what you feel. So Joe Budden had a similar opinion of Drake's album For All the Dogs that I had. That it was not good. Joe went a little bit harder, as Joe Budden usually does. And of course, it's content over everything with Joe Budden. So he was talking about Drake, saying like Drake hanging out with these little kids too much. Drake messing with these little 25-year-old girls too much. And Joe says we want to hear grown man Drake. I would agree. Drake took this all very personal and went off on Joe and told Joe that, oh, your career was a failure as a rapper, and that's why you're podcasting now, and that's why you're saying this stuff, because this is what pays your bills. Joe and Drake was saying like, Joe, you didn't make it, you're bitter, and you're taking it out on me, and I'm the successful rapper, and I have a private jet, and you have a modest home in Jersey, and you fly private sometimes, or first class sometimes. Let me say that. Now, was what Drake said to Joe Budden crazy? Woo! Drake went off. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, God damn, Drake. He put the bars on him, man. Just to let you know, Drake got how Drake pen work, or his Twitter fingers work. Golly, Drake went in. But does that negate what Joe Budden said? Now I heard a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, that's right, Joe Budden, you are a failed rapper. How could you ever have an opinion?" Well, damn, if an academic said this too. If Joe can't say nothing, can't nobody say nothing. If your criteria of being able to criticize anything is like you have to be successful in that field, well then how can you criticize music? How can you criticize films? How can you criticize sports teams? Like you can acknowledge that was a bad thing to do. Don't mean I can do it better, but that was a bad thing to do. I think that's very fair. I think people trying to get at Joe and saying like Joe can't say nothing, like you're being naive. Of course Joe Budden can make a comment and say, "Hey yo, I listened to this project and it was trash to me." He can say that. And I can say that, and you can say that, and anybody can say that. This idea well, if I'm not successful in this field, then I can't have an opinion. That's garbage. No, that's BS. The people who are saying that are the people who are in that field, and they made the garbage, and now they're trying to excuse it by saying like, "Oh, it's not that I was trash. Is that you're jealous and you can't say this because you're not successful in it?" No, of course I can. Of course you can. Of course we all can. Like, so just stop it. So everybody coming off with that opinion, just stop it. We all know that you can have an opinion. And what Joe Budden has said, it wasn't even really that crazy. You just like, bro, maybe you need to rearrange who you dealing with. Switch up a little bit. Maybe the people that's inspiring you aren't the right people to be around. And I agree, because this was some two trash albums. It's been, let's be honest, it's been 2 trash albums from Drake. Certified Lover Boy was trash. For All the Dogs was trash. These are very boring, very, very bland, very emotionless songs. We want to hear about Drake. We love when we get to know what Drake is going through. We don't know nothing about Drake. He got a whole baby. He's in his late 30s. Like, what's going on, man? Tell us something. What's going on? We don't know nothing. All we know is that you know how to breathe heavy and whisper. What I want. Like, golly, that's all we got from you in this whole album? Stop it. So I fool with it. Now, everybody's talking about the Drake and Joe Budden timeline with the beef. Of course, they've had a timeline beef. I remember, because I'm a Joe Budden fan for real, so I remember Drake being on Joe Budden's YouTube channel when Drake went to go watch him perform. I saw that when it first aired back in the day, and I saw how much like Drake gave it up to Joe. And then I saw how Joe Budden went crazy and his wife beat her talking about Drake's album Views, which I love. I love Views. Made me a Drake fan. Views made me a Drake fan. I love that album. That production was amazing. The concept, the talking points, it was amazing. I love Views. But a lot of people did not. At the time, Joe Budden didn't. I think he said now he does like Views, but at the time, Joe Budden didn't like Views. And he went in on that. And then that made Drake come out with the song with French Montana where he's dissing Joe Budden's song Pump It Up. And that made Joe Budden come off with I think 3 long diss songs where he's going at Drake. And they've been cool and they've been not cool and it's been back and forth. So they have a rocky relationship too. With all that being said, I think that Joe Budden had the right opinion. I think Joe Budden was correct with his take on Drake. It's like you're trying too hard to appeal to the young masses to the point where your music isn't as good. And there's nothing wrong with, you want the youngsters to come through, but you at least gotta have something for, your day ones, because at this point, your day ones, they're in their 30s and later and older. There's nothing wrong with trying to stay current, but golly, give us some stuff, and we want that realness. This flash in the pan, snappy music that you making now, it's not going to sustain you, Drake. I'm sorry, it's not. Because they can get that from somebody who's actually young. So I don't know if Drake... Well, I do know. I know Drake has an issue with being older. He's always talked about... When he was in his 20s, he was making sure people weren't saying he was older than what he was. So he's always had an issue with getting older. And now we're seeing it manifest to the point where he's getting mad at people for calling him out for being the old nigga in the club. And Drake's not old, but he's acting like the old nigga in the club. Bro, chill out for a second. And trust me, I know, because I'll be the old nigga in the club sometimes. But chill out, dude. You can't be over here getting mad at Joe. You can't be over here getting mad at Charlamagne. You can't be over here getting mad at academics. You have to recognize, understand that these are people who are fans of you, and their opinion is strictly from a fan point of view. They want good music from the nigga who they like to listen to. That's all it is, and that's how I am. I want good music from the nigga I like to listen to. Point blank, period. But tell me what y'all think, man. Again, I think Joe went overboard. Do y'all think he was fair? Do y'all think that Drake was crazy for going at Joe, or do you think he was fair? Let me know. Now, the boy Drake has been known for bringing up his past relationships in his music, and he did it allegedly in For All the Dogs as well, when he talked about probably the biggest, most high-profile relationship he's ever been in, when he dissed, allegedly again, Rihanna. So he talks about he's anti, which was her last album, and he talks about sex with you is mediocre or average or whatever. When Rihanna has that song Sex With Me is amazing. He talks about the guy she with has to stay with her. She's too much to deal with. And he's had it and he's fine. He's not tripping off of her. And again, he's going in pretty hard. So like many of us, back in the day, I was like, yeah, Drake and Rihanna, that'd be a cool little couple. And, they had that little moment where they was always hanging out with each other. And it seemed like every time Rihanna got out of a relationship, she would go back hanging out with Drake. They was going doing something. And a lot of people thought that, hey, they were going to end up together. And then she ended up with A$AP Rocky, and they got a couple babies. Now they seem like a happy family. Drake, he had his son with, another woman, and he didn't seem like he was cool. And honestly, it seemed like that was over. It was like, okay, yep, that was the thing that everybody thought was going to happen, maybe wanted to happen. I know a lot of people were shipping it, and it didn't happen. But it's cool. It's over. Well, not to Drake, I guess, apparently. Allegedly. Maybe. because he decided he was going to use all that history to, get some spice for the album and talk ish on Rihanna and talk ish on A$AP Rocky and their whole relationship. And well, not their whole relationship so much so, but really on Rihanna as a person. So my opinion is, dang, Drake, you kind of lame for that. Now we all know that Drake can sometimes be kind of lame, and this is one of those moments, like whatever it is y'all had, or whatever you thought was gonna happen that didn't happen, there's no reason to do this. Like, y'all are in two different places now in life, and she's happy. She's got 2 kids, she got her man, you got your son, and you do whatever you want to do. Like, what's the point of putting somebody down who has not said anything negative about you? And I know this whole pod has been about Drake, but it's kind of been looking at Drake as a person and how he's broken down into like just this negative influence, and I don't like it. Like, Drake was supposed to be somebody who was like, when he first came out, he was more positive. He was just like focusing on doing his thing and making the music he wanted to make, and now it's become just like this just negative aura around him. It's just, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like Drake doing this. I don't like Drake going at Rihanna because they're not together anymore, or because of other people talking about them. Rihanna has not said one word about this dude. So what's your beef? You got no beef. You just want to do this to sell records to sell records. You want to sell records. You want to have people talking about you, your name in the press. And you thought this was the right way to do it against somebody who has not said nothing, who hasn't said anything about you, who's living her life. So I just think that Drake, again, I started saying this and I'm gonna end saying this. He's taking his vacation. He's taking his time off. He's going to work on his health. He needs to work on his mental health as well, because clearly something's going on. The way he's been reacting to people lately has been wild. And where at least you can say, like, the stuff he said to Charlamagne, the stuff he said to Joe Budden, they said something first. With Rihanna, she hasn't said anything. Nothing publicly about this man for him to go in on her. Again, allegedly. I guess I gotta say that for a couple times. Allegedly. But no, that, like, he's gone too far. Like, Rihanna is happy, and you're supposed to be happy, right? So Drake, if you're happy, then stop tripping off her. Now, if you're not happy, and talking about a girl who's not talking about you does make you look unhappy, well, then you need some help. So good, I'm happy that you're taking some time off, because clearly you need it. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Like, leave Rihanna alone. Leave anybody alone who's not doing nothing to you. You're fine. She's fine. Everybody's fine. Y'all making money. Y'all doing y'all thing. Y'all living your life. Y'all have y'all family. Like, chill out, bro. So I thought that was wild and disrespectful and unnecessary to come at her. Because, again, she's done nothing to him. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think that, Drake is fair game? You talk about whatever you want to talk about? Or do y'all think like me? Man, that stuff is mad corny. Why you going at this girl? She ain't said nothing to you. Let me know. So that's the show. Thank you all so much for taking in this whack wisdom from me. I hope that you return next week to get a little bit more. Of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I'm dropping new content on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, please make sure to, like, review, comment, everything you gotta do on those platforms to support us. We appreciate that as well. That being said, this is the WACCast podcast, and I am whacking off.
It's the WACCast podcast, yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack to me,
yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack
it's
to me.
It's the WACCast podcast, yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack to me,
yeah.
Talk whack to me, talk whack to me.